Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for making a sacrifice of your time to hop onto this call tonight. I am so excited to share about the blessing that is LifeVantage, both about our incredible products and the business opportunity we have to offer. I wanted my mentor, Kaylee, on the call with us to shed some more light on what we're working with, and we are going to be hearing from Ray Allen, a leader in this company. Ray is a husband and father of 8 amazing children. After graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy in 2009, Ray commissioned as a naval aviator and flew helicopters for 11 years on active duty. LifeVantage found him 13 years ago while balancing life as a young husband, father, and active duty naval aviator. Through multiple deployments to the Middle East and several duty station changes, he and his wife built their business in the nooks and crannies of their busy lives while homeschooling their now 8 children. Thanks to their success in LifeVantage and with the help of their team and mentors, they were both able to leave the military with no retirement pay and focus on their family and helping other families build freedom through their LifeVantage business full-time while homesteading on their 53-acre farm in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Ray, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jane. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here as we go, so we can get this started. And thank you, everybody, for making a commitment and making a sacrifice to and supporting Jane on this call. I'm a firm believer that when you know better, you do better, and that's what we're doing here with LifeVantage. Okay, I've been sharing this information for 13 years now, and have seen so many lives blessed over the years. And like I said, when I know better, I have an obligation to do better. So we want to share with you what we're bringing to the world. May or may not be for you, but we're excited to share because we've seen it change so many lives over the years. Just not only in people's health, but also in their financial health as well, and families all over the world now. So that's my wife and I, our 8 children. We live just south of Charlottesville, Virginia. We've got a little homestead there. I've been doing this business for 13 years. I got out of the Navy in 2020, and my wife and I, we met at the U.S. Naval Academy. After we graduated, she became a Marine Corps officer. I became a Navy helicopter pilot. And what that meant for us was, right after we got married, we basically went separate ways. We couldn't get stationed together. She being a Marine and myself going through Navy flight school. We actually didn't get to live with one another until we were already married for 3.5 years. And our oldest daughter was almost 2 years old. So it might sound crazy, but I'm grateful for that separation early on in our life, early on in our marriage, because it gave us very valuable perspective that we probably wouldn't have gotten if we had just been together all the time. But with our 2 incomes, myself as Navy helicopter pilot, she is a Marine Corps officer, we had good income, but what we didn't have was our time together. So our life in 2013 looked like this. I was gone for training all the time. I was doing a very dangerous job, and I was grateful to have done it. But at the end of the day, I married my wife. My wife married me because we loved one another and wanted to have a family, and ultimately raise our family on our terms the way we saw fit. And while we are honored to have served, we are so grateful that we were introduced to LifeVantage early on in our life, because when we got introduced to LifeVantage about 2 months before that picture in the center was taken, I was getting ready to leave on a 10-month deployment, my first deployment overseas. And, needless to say, I wasn't necessarily looking for a business opportunity. But what I was looking for was a way to be with my wife and family. The pain was very real at that point in time in our life. And we were just looking to get our time. So when a fellow Marine called us and said, "Hey, you got to take a look at what this is," we were all option. We were open to it. Now we immediately saw something. Both as D1 athletes, I played lacrosse at the Naval Academy. My wife played soccer. We were very healthy people. We weren't looking to correct something for our health. But I'm about to share with you in a minute or two a video. It was an ABC News report back in 2005. And we saw that video. We knew that we were going to take this not only because, we saw the value of it, but we saw this as a preventative measure. Not that we cure, prevent, or treat any diseases, but we knew immediately that this was going to be something that we were going to take because it just made sense to us. And there's a ton of science to back it up as well. Now, when we saw this video, we also started thinking, okay, man, well, my brother needs to hear about this. My brother-in-law, Joe needs to hear about this. Mark needs to hear about this. Everybody needs to hear about this. So when we realized that there was a business opportunity with this and that people were creating, leverage income, not while quitting they didn't have to quit their jobs to go do this. They were real people in real life who are working other jobs, doing this, side by side with what they were doing to build a better financial picture for their family, we were all in. So before I get to that video, I just want to ask a couple questions, okay? It's 2026, technology and science has never been better, medicine's never been better. But by and large, as a society, we are fatter. There's no other way no good way to say it. We're fatter, sicker, and healthier than ever before. We're metabolically unhealthy. Chronic disease is on the rise. Why is that if technology and science and medicine have come so far? Well, all the things that are bombarding us in our environment that we can't control. You can control your controllables. You can control what you eat. You can control what you drink, the sleep you get. You can do a lot of things, but you can't really do a whole lot about the air we breathe, whether Canada is on fire or people like me flying airplanes, dumping JP5 jet fuel in the air. You don't realize it, but we do it all the time. So not only the air we breathe, environmental toxins we're getting, and the food we eat, these things that, allegedly make our life so easy, these smartphones, okay, yeah, they make life easy, but they're also bombarding us with EMFs and signals that, all these things, all these frequencies that are bombarding us, they didn't exist to our ancestors. Our ancestors just ate food. Today, in order to eat organic food, you have to go through, a whole rigmarole of paying extra money. Farmers need to get certified. We simply aren't eating organic food. And, generations before us would look at us like we're taking crazy pills because it's absolutely insane. They wouldn't even recognize the food we're eating. So we're getting bombarded on both sides of this. And what this leads to is not only inflammation. I want you to think inflammation, obviously, but the root cause of that is oxidative stress, okay? It was a term I had never heard of until I saw this video I'm about to show for you. But when you get down to it, inflammation, oxidative stress, which is essentially a fancy way of saying inflammation within your cells, is at the root cause of so many diseases. Be it, in any of the major organs of your body, be it kidney diseases, immune disorders, heart, brain, lung, all these things. There is inflammation and oxidative stress at the root of all these. And while God designed our bodies to be miracles, unfortunately, over the last, 100 or so years, we've introduced some things into our environment that, we simply just weren't supposed to be exposed to. But here we are. So how does our body react? Mass numbers in our society are fatter, sicker, unhealthy because their body simply cannot detox. So I want to set the stage that way, and I want to share with you what I saw back in 2013. Now, mind you, this video is from 2005, an ABC News report. I'm going to show you that video right now, and then it'll give you a little update on what's happened since, and then I'll bring you up to speed.
Every movement has a beginning. In 2005, that beginning stepped into the national spotlight when ABC Primetime explored a breakthrough in cellular health. What you're about to see points to where that journey begins and why it all starts with yellow.
You want to get an edge on turning back the clock with just a few pills? Who doesn't? Well, it's no longer science fiction, but science possibility, a potential breakthrough. As I found out firsthand, there may be a way to erase years, at least inside my body. It may not look like the fountain of youth, but inside this nondescript building, I'm about to become part of an exciting experiment, a kind of guinea pig. Dr. McCord, okay. I'm here at the University of Colorado in Denver to meet world-renowned scientists. This is a pretty exciting stuff you're finding, huh?
It is. We're very excited about it.
His latest research could very well unravel the mystery of aging itself. And his decades of experiments may have the potential of adding years to people's lives and possibly prevent chronic diseases like cancer, diabetes, and heart disease. It all centers around this small yellow pill, and for me, it begins with a blood test.
There we go.
It wouldn't be the first time I've given blood for this company. Oxidative stress, like the rusting of an engine, is not a good thing.
Bad for the body,
Leading to disease.
leading to disease and leading to malfunction, and importantly, leading to what we call aging. It is a slow progression of increasing oxidative stress. That's the main characteristic biochemically of the aging process.
It's called Protandim, and tests on both mice and humans have already shown that it revs up the manufacture of those good enzymes in our bodies. More enzymes, fewer free radicals to harm us. Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reverse that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old. But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result, my level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Have we turned back the clock? High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks, even mental disease. Yes, depression, Alzheimer's disease, depression. But I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
The ABC Primetime story wasn't the conclusion. It was the catalyst. What began as an investigative question led to multiple patents and years of ongoing peer-reviewed research. Research that has revealed findings even more profound than originally thought. Study after study has continued validating Protandim Nrf2 and expanding our understanding of what cellular activation can mean for optimal health. From Harvard to LSU to the National Institute of Aging, the story didn't stop, it deepened. What started as curiosity became conviction, a movement. Starting with yellow is just the beginning. There's more to explore. Because no one wants to look back years from now and wonder if they missed something this simple or this big. It all starts with yellow, but wait until you hear the rest of the story.
All right, so that was our ABC News report, and my friend Jamie was able to bring us up to a little bit of speed with a kind of a quick highlight reel, but not a whole lot of information there. So what happened since then? Well, that ABC News report aired back in 2005, and the first shocking thing is, okay, I was in high school, which is kind of crazy that like video looked like that back then. It seems old, but it's also kind of crazy because even though that was in 2005, people still don't know what oxidative stress is, even though we're all affected by it. It doesn't matter if you know about it or not, it's affecting you. So when that report aired back in 2005, you saw the lab they were in. At the time, the company was called Lifeline Nutraceuticals. There was no sales team, there was no marketing team. It was just a bunch of guys in a lab. Dr. Joel McCord, who discovered the exact combination that Protandim Nrf2 was formulated in, had spent his life trying to figure out how to turn on pathways in the body to do what your bodies do when they're young and activated properly. So that Nrf2 pathway was the most important one there. So when that aired, you saw John Quinones's blood, the markers of oxidative stress or inflammation in his blood went from down to that of a newborn baby. He's about 60 years old there, and the inflammation and oxidative stress within his body, in his cells, the markers were down to that of a newborn, okay? So people saw this and went, oh my goodness, I need this in my body yesterday. So $5 million of orders came in overnight. But like I said, they were a lab. They weren't a full-on company yet. So they struggled to make ends meet and get those orders fulfilled, and they did, okay? And they did that for the next 2 to 3 years. However, they never did more than about $5 to $6 million in sales. And there was a problem because, one, everybody needed their oxidative stress lowered. But the problem was that ABC News report wasn't playing every single night on ABC News, so that it wasn't getting the millions of eyes every night on it. What was happening was that bottle of Protandim Nrf2 was sitting on the shelf in stores like Vitamin Shop, Walgreens, GNC. Good thing it's out there, but the kid at GNC or Walgreens, they have no idea what oxidative stress is. It blends in with a wall of things that are supplements. But Nrf2 activation is not a supplement. Protandim Nrf2 is not a supplement. What we were doing, what Dr. McCord figured out, was that you could take tiny little micro doses in a targeted therapeutic formula to upregulate those pathways in our body, which simply go dormant as we age. So people went crazy and found out about this, and the demand wasn't necessarily coming in through the shelves of Vitamin C, Walgreens, or GNC, Vitamin Shop, and Walgreens. So the board was getting a little frustrated. Said, "Hey, we have something everybody needs. So what are we going to do?" So they brought in many different consultants to recommend some different ways of how they can go about, exposing, getting more eyes on the product, increase market share, and all that, because activation was still a secret. Well, one of the consultants recommended that they went to network marketing, multi-level marketing, peer-to-peer distribution. And thank God they did, because from when they made that shift in 2009, moving from retail into network marketing, they put the profits back in the hands of the people, okay? What that means is, instead of spending hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing and mainstream media and all the conventional, marketing outlets, they decided to put it in the hands of individuals to start their own businesses, use word of mouth advertising, and get the word out there. And thank God they did, because the next year they doubled, the next year they doubled again. And today we're sitting at a $250 million company. It's about a $230 million company right now. And instead of paying hundreds of millions of dollars to big ad agencies and buying time on network television, or spending money for inorganic social media ads, LifeVantage pays people like me and Jane and Kaylee and the rest of our team all over the world to go out there and share this with the people we know, love, and care about. So I thank God every day they did that. Okay. Now, some other things have happened since that video aired back in 2005. It's undeniable, if you look at inflation, the fixed rate of inflation over the last, however many decades you want to look at, it doesn't really matter. You can go back 100 years. We are paying astronomically. The dollar is simply worth less. Okay. And there are some things that have tracked way beyond inflation. Okay. And we are all feeling that, I'm sure. Approximately 60% of Americans have less or the same savings as they did last year, while 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money from a bank. And that is scary. That is very scary. There's also been a shift as well. They're not building malls anywhere. They're all getting shut down and turned into like Lowe's or Home Depot or something. They're not building more malls, okay? What they are building is data centers, which is a whole other rabbit hole. Don't even get me started on. Or they're building Amazon fulfillment centers, because while I love being in person, I much prefer to go shop in person. Everybody is way too comfortable, taking their phone, hitting a couple buttons, and having something delivered. And thankfully, LifeVantage has been on the cutting edge of that as well, because it allowed us to take advantage from that retail shift into the online sales space. Online shopping is projected to grow by 60%, up to $8 trillion in the next 2 years. And, thankfully, we get to capitalize because of the decisions that LifeVantage has made. There's also a huge wellness shift right now, guys. If nothing else, I think the 2020 COVID nonsense was a great eye opener to a lot of people to start doing things more naturally. And I think it's come a long way. It's undeniable that people, especially right now when metabolic health is on the decline, chronic diseases on the incline, people are looking for solutions, and we have that solution to offer. So we are positioned very well to help a population that's running on empty, just like I talked about before. If medicine and science and technology have come so far, why is it that we're fatter, sicker, more metabolically unhealthy, and chronic diseases on the rise? Okay, people are looking for answers, and we have the solution to those answers. Now, you take a look at all these areas that we have the answer to, whether it's brain health, gut health, your cells, your hair, your sleep, your eyes, collagen. All of these things are playing a huge impact on people's health, and for decades, basically forever, especially in this modern time, the answer has been to supplement, okay? I'll take a mega dose of vitamin D or vitamin C or B12. Okay, our bodies were not designed to absorb 2,000 or 5,000% of these things, okay? So what I love about activation is it flips a huge multi-billion-dollar industry upside down and makes it irrelevant, because instead of supplementing with megadoses, we are activating the pathways that God put into our bodies to operate optimally, okay? These pathways start to tend to slow down as we age. We are simply turning them back on. And, I'm not a doctor. You don't have to trust me. Thankfully, I can lean on giants like Harvard, LSU, the National Institute of Aging. I mean, it's just unbelievable what we have here. Dozens of peer-reviewed research, which doesn't exist for supplement products, non-pharmaceutical products. It is absolutely amazing what we have here. But again, that theory, and not even a theory, what we have here, activation, no one else is doing it. And there's a reason why all those universities and institutions are paying their own money to study this and just keep validating it time and time again. Even the National Institute of Health study was proven that Protandim Nrf2 extended life. So unbelievable things we have here, unbelievable. And this is the pillar of it all, that Protandim Nrf2. Like I said, it's a really easy way to think about it. Think oxidative stress is a fancy way of saying inflammation. You take an apple and you cut it open. What's going to happen? It's going to start to rust. From on that fresh side you cut. So what are we doing here with our body? Would you want to have the apple on the right-hand side, or do you want to maintain and get all those free radicals and oxidative stress outside of your body and have that healthy cell on the left? I think everybody, no matter where you're from, what you're doing, you'd rather have a normal cell. So I think that goes without saying. So we have solutions to everything, where Protandim Nrf2 is the pillar, the foundation of what we have. When it comes to cellular health or mitochondrial health, our NRF1 activator is a great thing to learn about, especially when it comes to mitochondrial health and all the dysfunction that's happening there. Gut health, the standard American diet has ravaged people's guts. It is a huge issue, whether it's leaky gut or some of the many other issues that people have now just from years of bad food. I hate to even call our collagen product a beauty product, because I think it's almost too vain to call it a beauty product. There is so much collagen in your body and your joints. I just turned 40 and I feel like a spring chicken because I take activated collagen every single day. I beat up my body in the military. I beat it up playing lacrosse in college. And, that activated collagen has been an absolute game changer for me. And then when you partner that with our Axio, which technically is an energy drink, but I don't even like to call it that. I like to call it an executive function drink because it just turns your brain on. There's actually a brain mapping study on this that's amazing, that the product was given to children with autism, which, whoever invited you here, asked them to get you that study because it is absolutely amazing. When I became a believer in Axio was October 2014 when the product launched. At the time, I was an aircraft commander in my squadron, and one of the most dangerous things we do, I believe, as a Navy helicopter pilot, is landing on the back of ships at night. Okay, you have to do X amount of landings every 90 days in order to stay current. So typically what happens is when a ship's close enough for you to go out there and get your practice landings, 10 pilots jump into the helicopter. We go out, 50 miles off the coast, and everybody gets their 6 landings over and over and over again. Well, it takes a long time. It takes like 6 hours to do this evolution. And it's night, it's high stress. You don't want to be falling asleep. And you should just crush energy drinks, coffee all the time. They'd come back, they'd crash on the way, not crash literally, but mentally crash on the way back, thankfully. But I remember in October 2014, I drank an Axio for the first time, okay? And what I noticed was clean, sustained energy without jitters. Trust me, when you're landing on the back of a ship where you only have a couple of feet between your rotor disc and a steel wall, you definitely don't want to be jittery. And what I noticed was I was locked in mentally. I was wired. I was not jittery. And when there was no crash, and when I came back from flying that mission, I was able to come home and actually go to sleep. Okay, it wasn't just a whole bunch of caffeine. There's a whole bunch of other great things in there that are activating your brain. So we are not just, out here selling products. We are building a movement, and this movement has done nothing but grow all over the world. Our Simple Yes from our friend Sarah back in 2013 has grown into an organization of thousands all over the world. And, our mission here is to help people get healthier and wealthier and set families free from whatever matrix they may be plugged into. Okay. So usually when people hear this, they say, okay, that's great. I would like to have that product in my body yesterday. And that's great. You can become a customer. You can get with Jane and she can set you up. Now, I always recommend that you start with the pillar, the foundation, the Protandim Nrf2. It's going to lower oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. There's nothing else on the earth that can do that. And we have you can only get it from us. Now, if you want to up your game a little bit with that on the energy side, I would highly recommend adding that NRF1 for your mitochondrial health. And again, that brain activation, that Axio is undeniable. I would recommend you start there. If you're looking to do a little bit more, again, I hate to even call our collagen product a beauty product because it seems vain when you consider all the things that's happening inside of your body with your tendons, your ligaments, and everything else, all your organs, all the collagen in your body. And if it's doing that on the outside of people's bodies, imagine what it's doing internally to your organs, okay? Cannot stress the importance of liquid collagen. So again, you can stack these for savings. Please get back with Jane and she can walk you through all of this. Now, a lot of people, when they see this information, they think, okay, that product's amazing, but not only do I need it, but like my mom needs this. Like I said before, Joey needs this, Mark needs this, John needs this. If you're making those connections in your brain and you want, okay, well, someone else needs to know about this, you may want to consider becoming a consultant, because we get paid to share, guys. That's what we do. I'm not in sales here. I have a very large organization. I've never felt like I was in a sales job in my entire life. I view my role here in LifeVantage as an executive consultant, as a traffic director. I share information and help people if they need solutions. I can direct them that way. Great part about being a consultant, in addition to all of these, obviously you're going to get a discount. You're going to get some incredible travel trips. I've traveled all over the world, whether it be Ireland, South Africa, Mexico, all over, some amazing trips with the company. One part that's really cool, when you hit the executive ranks, they give you a Jeep, which is pretty cool. I have 8 kids, so when we had the Jeep, we only had 5 kids. So we put a third row in the back, and they don't give you a payment plan. They literally gave us the keys of the Jeep, which is amazing. I'll get into more specific details about income here in a moment, but these are just some of the perks. Not to mention the tax benefits that come from having a home-based business. One of my favorite people, my personal accountant, she has a book that was called, I'll recommend it right here, Why You Would Be Brain Dead to Not Have a Home-Based Business. And it talks about the average savings an American family would have just by having a home-based business and making an attempt to earn income. Not even knocking out of the park and making millions of dollars, just having a home-based business unlocks an entire portion of the tax code that as a W-2 employee, you simply do not have. So this is what I want to get into. On the left-hand side are our ranks in the company. You'll see consultant all the way down through presidential consultant, with the right column being their average monthly commissions, okay? So I want to walk you through some of these, so consultant 3, an extra $150 a month, you're talking about a cell phone bill, a senior consultant 1, $300 a month, SC2, senior consultant 2, $530 a month, you're talking car payments. Up to MC1, you're looking at $1,700. That could be covering a good portion of a mortgage. And this is a reminder, the people all the way through, no one's quitting their job before, executive consultant 1. So these are all incomes, $1,700, $3,000, $6,700. These are all incomes that people are earning while they're currently doing their full-time thing, okay? They haven't gone full-time yet. I'll tell you right now, when I left the military, I was at the executive consultant 1 mark. Our goal was to build this business as an executive mark. There are some other compensation perks that come along when you get there, but we knew what our income number was, okay? So I knew, I got out in January of 2020, right before everything went nuts. No retirement, nothing whatsoever. I had 5 children, and I was able to walk away because we had built a business that was paying us leveraged income, that executive consultant 1 level, about $14,000, okay? Now, to put it in perspective, what that means, people are like, oh man, you should have stayed in and done another 10 years. Yeah, well, that means I would have been gone from my family for all this time. Well, in that 7 years while I was on active duty, deploying all over the world, having multiple children, a very busy life, my wife and I, during our busy life, the busy nooks and crannies of our life, we were able to hop on calls like this, get around like-minded people, and build a team that was earning for our family $14,500 a month, okay? So what does that actually mean? In our part-time, active duty military homeschooling parents, shift your eyes over to the column on the right. Go down to that $2 million investment, okay? So if you look at it, somewhere around 9%, in order to earn what we were earning as executive consultant 1, that was the equivalent of having $2 million in the bank, earning around 9%. Okay, so what that gave was for normal people like us with no business background, busy parents, trying to homeschool our kids, trying to do everything with our very busy lives. We were able to create an asset worth $2 million at 9% return in the bank. I was never going to put $2 million of money in the bank, what I was currently doing. So fast forward a couple of years, now we're at the executive consultant 3 level, okay? So what I found in this business, okay, was a vehicle for normal people with an unusual desire to change their circumstances, okay? What this is a vehicle for normal people with a mission that matters to help people to build a better life for their family while being able to bless other families with the opportunity for better health and more financial freedom on the other side. So that's what we're working with here. It is a vehicle for normal families to build freedom. And I'll tell you right now, yes, money's good, but it's just a tool, just like a hammer or a rifle. I could use a hammer to build a house, or I could use it to bash someone's brain in. One's good, one's bad, obviously. Okay, we can all agree on that. Okay. Money is a tool. And what it's allowed me to do as a father of 8 and a homeschooling, father, it has allowed me to properly order my life. Okay. For the last, I guess for 6.5 years now, I haven't had to go to a job. I haven't had to answer to anybody. I've been exactly where I wanted to be, with whom I wanted to be with for the last 6.5 years, because I swallowed my pride and I listened to the people who had what I had, because they said, if you do what I do, you can get what I get. And I did that. I listened to my mentors. I plugged in. I locked arms with people like Jane and Kaylee, and we went out there and got to work and started sharing this information. And now the blessing of our life is we get to pass this on to other people. It's not like we just struck it big and can't help others. And we have ours. We are here to serve, and that is our new mission, to break families free. So if that is exciting for you, you can start your business at any level. Okay, there are multiple kits you can get involved with to save some money here and there, but you can also get in for as little as $50. Okay, to start a business today. I wouldn't recommend it, because I would never recommend someone starts a business that they don't use the products with. There are multiple different ways to get enrolled, multiple different levels. We can talk about that later. Get your questions answered from Jane. She'll connect you with me, whatever we need to do to get any questions answered. But bottom line, get in where you fit in, because the best time to start a business was yesterday. The next best time is today. So that's what we're doing here with LifeVantage, guys. It's been the blessing of my life to be able to help other families do this while able to set myself free and be home with my family exactly where I should be all the time. So I hope this message finds you well. Please get back with Jane and let her know if we can get any questions answered. God bless and take care. Back over to you, Jane.
Thank you so much, Ray. I guess we'll just stop recording and open it up for questions.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.